You've probably used NGINX dozens of times today and didn't even know it. It's this invisible powerhouse, the engine running behind the scenes on so many of the websites you visit every day. So let's pull back the curtain and see what this thing is all about. So think about this for a second. How do massive sites like, say, Netflix or Airbnb not just fall over when millions of people hit them all at once? What's the magic that keeps them from grinding to a halt when they get a huge traffic spike?
Well, a huge part of that answer is NGINX. Yep, it's kind of the secret sauce, the special ingredient that gives these high-traffic sites their speed and, maybe more importantly, their stability. It's the real deal.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down what NGINX actually is. Then we'll look at its core engine and its three main jobs, acting as a web server, a reverse proxy, and a load balancer. And finally, we'll see exactly where this fits on your roadmap.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, what is NGINX?
You can think of NGINX as the Swiss Army knife of web servers. It's open source and it does a few things really, really well. It's a web server, a reverse proxy, and a load balancer. But the two words you really need to remember are performance and efficiency. The whole thing was designed from day one to be blazing fast and use as few resources as possible.
And when I say performance, I'm not kidding around. We're talking about the ability to handle over 10,000 connections at the same time on a pretty normal server. That's a huge number, and it's exactly why the biggest sites on the web depend on it.
So, you might be wondering, how does it pull this off? What's the secret sauce? Well, it all comes down to its core architecture.
Okay, this phrase right here, event-driven, asynchronous, this is the key to everything. See, older web servers had this pretty inefficient way of doing things. For every single connection, they'd spin up a whole new process. You can imagine how quickly that eats up memory. NGINX is totally different. It uses a non-blocking model, which is like a really, really good multitasker. It can juggle thousands of connections inside just a handful of processes. It's just way, way more efficient.
And it does this with a really clever setup called the master worker model. It works like this. One master process starts up. Its only job is to read the settings and manage a few worker processes. These worker processes are the real workhorses. They're the ones that actually handle the thousands and thousands of requests. It's a super elegant and effective design.
All right, so now that we know how it works, let's talk about what it does. We'll start with its first and most basic job, being a web server. In its most straightforward role, NGINX is just fantastic at serving up static files. Things that don't change, like images, CSS files, JavaScript, that kind of stuff. Your browser asks for it, and NGINX just grabs it from the disk and sends it back. Super fast, super simple.
And you can see that flow right here. It's a straight line. The user's browser asks for a picture, NGINX gets the request, finds the file, and sends it right back. That's it. No fuss.
But here's where things get really interesting. Serving files is great, but NGINX's real power comes out when it acts as a reverse proxy.
So what's a reverse proxy? The best way to think about it is like a receptionist or a security guard for your web servers. It sits out front, takes all the incoming calls or, web requests, and directs them to the right person or the right server in the back to handle it.
And this diagram shows that new flow perfectly. The user talks to NGINX, NGINX then talks to your actual application server. The key thing here is that the user never talks directly to your backend. NGINX acts as this protective middle layer. And why would you do this? Well, the benefits are huge. For one, NGINX can cache things, so if it gets the same request twice, it can just answer it without even bothering the backend. It also totally hides your backend servers, which is a big security win. Plus, it can handle all the heavy lifting like SSL encryption and compressing content, which lets your application servers just focus on, running your application.
Okay, so that brings us to the third big job, load balancing. And really, this is just taking that reverse proxy idea to the next level.
So, as a load balancer, NGINX does something pretty simple but incredibly powerful. Instead of having just one backend server, imagine you have a whole bunch of them. NGINX's job is to take all the traffic coming in and spread it out evenly across all those servers. That way, no single server gets overloaded. It's absolutely crucial for keeping a busy site up and running.
And here's what that looks like. The user still just talks to NGINX. But now, NGINX can send one request to server 1, the next to server 2, the next to server 3, and so on. And the really cool part? If, say, server 2 goes offline, NGINX is smart enough to just stop sending traffic there. It automatically reroutes everything to the healthy servers. That's how you get both scalability and reliability.
Okay, so we've covered its three main roles. Now, let's connect the dots and see why NGINX is so important in a modern tech stack.
Because really, NGINX is more than just those three things. It's a total powerhouse. It can proxy just about any kind of traffic, not just HTTP. It can be a mail server, a super efficient cache, and here's a big one for today's world. It's one of the go-to tools for managing network traffic in Kubernetes. It's what's known as an Ingress controller, and it's everywhere.
So now let's place it on our roadmap. Look, understanding NGINX isn't really optional anymore. It's a fundamental checkpoint for anyone who wants to understand modern web infrastructure. If you're dealing with microservices, with containers, or just trying to make a website that doesn't fall over under pressure, you're going to run into NGINX. Getting comfortable with it is a huge step forward.
At the end of the day, it's your gateway, your traffic cop, and your performance engine, all rolled into one. It's a tool that lets you build bigger, faster, and more resilient systems. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?
This is Developer Roadmaps. Map your path. Build your career.